Welcome to the Multifamily Zone, where business meets family. We explore what the entrepreneur life looks like from the family perspective. Now here are your hosts, Julia and Gino Barbaro.
Hey everyone, this is Julia Barbaro, host of the Multifamily Zone podcast. I'm here with the co-founder of Jake and Gino, my husband and co-host, Gino Barbaro. Gino,
Julia,
this is your favorite topic.
This is one of my favorite topics. Do you want to know why? Do you want to know why?
I do.
Well, picture this. I'm at the restaurant and I'm in the kitchen. A lot of times like this. For you, those of you on YouTube, you see me with my arms crossed. And a lot of those times I didn't understand why I was acting like that. I was either a victim or I was angry. And that's the level of energy that I was resonating at. And my problem was I wasn't even conscious or aware that I was acting like that. And what do you do when you act like that? You attract that same kind of energy. And the other problem is that I was staying in that level of energy for too long. So when I went to life coaching school back in 2015 and I went to IPEC and I learned a lot of these principles, it really snapped me out of my funk at the restaurant. It made me understand that I have control of my thoughts. And my thoughts control my actions. And that was so powerful for me. And then I just realized all of a sudden that if I'm in a bad mood, I can snap out of it. I have the choice to do that. And back years ago, I would stay in a bad mood for a lot longer.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you put that so well. I'm actually really happy that you mentioned. So we're going to be talking about the 7 energy levels, right? And you're talking about pretty much the worst one, which is level 1. And that too, and I feel like you have to remember that we all are in these states quite often, right? We get into the poor me victim level quite often and at different times in our life. But like you said, we have to be aware of it. And when we become aware of it is our first step to get out of it. Because if you're lying to yourself and you're not being honest with yourself, you're like, no, I'm in a good place. But really you're not. And you're deep down, you're not being honest. And that's what the number one step I think is to be aware and to be honest with yourself. And that's when you could say, okay, now I'm ready to choose to get out of it.
Now I want everyone to get a piece of paper out and a pencil if you can. And I want you to write this down and have it on your vision board. So maybe this is how you can become aware of your thoughts. The first word is your thought. Your thought leads to your feelings. Your feelings lead to emotions. Your emotions lead to your actions, and ultimately your actions lead to your results. So Jake and I, we always talk about education times action equals results. So you have steps before you're taking action. So if you're in a low level of energy, and we like to call the lower levels a catabolic level of energy, it's negative, it's draining. It's not a really great level to be in because you just don't feel like doing anything sometimes. Or like what Julia said, the level 1 is victimhood and the level 2 is anger. Those are low levels, catabolic. So if you have that, what kind of thoughts are you producing? You're producing negative thoughts. Like me, I was stuck in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. I couldn't go out. I couldn't network. If I had a potential client come in and talk about real estate, I wasn't in the mood.
Yeah. And
that was all on me. So can you imagine if you're in a great energy level, you're feeling great, you're flying, are you going to pick up the call and call the broker, Joel?
You are.
You're more likely to do that.
Yeah.
So, and if you constantly think about that, it's really important. So let me repeat those again to you, because this is the crux of what people struggle with. It's their thoughts lead to their feelings. If you have great thoughts, you have great feelings, that leads to your emotions. Your emotions lead to your actions, and your actions lead to your results.
And the important part too is when you're in a business, you have your team. You're in the same office, or you're on calls with them. If you're in that state, if you're in that that victim state, I'm not having a good day, you're going to definitely bring it. It's definitely going to bleed out to them. If you're home, I'm home with my kids. When I'm in a bad mood, they're not going to be in the best mood. The day is going to be harder for everyone. So it's important for us, not just for ourselves, but everyone around us to come out of that.
And Julia mentioned, rightly so, that you can be in a bad state. You can be a victim. Yeah. You can be angry, but we don't have to wallow there. Mm-hmm. People are there for months and years. Yeah. That's where they live.
I actually like when I get there, because this is when I get there, I'm like, okay, this is where I get there. I feel sorry for myself. And then I have to decide, okay, you know what? What's going to come out of this? How am I going to grow from this? I'm actually excited to see the outcome. and I could look back and say, okay, that's what I learned. And I actually do. Even when I see other people struggle, I'm like, wow, they're really going to get something out of that if they pay attention.
So level one is victim. The core thought is apathy. That's you just that's your thought. You're apathetic, right? You're just indifferent to everything. And I want everyone to understand there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. Sometimes when you're a victim, let's say you lose a family member, or let's say you lose a job,
Right.
we all need a grieving process.
Absolutely.
The problem is that a lot of people stay there for way too long, right? So you have apathy, and the core action or the result is lethargy, right? Level two.
Well, hold on, let me just start. Sorry,
Sure.
sorry to interrupt, but I just want to put it in a simple term. It's really basically, what about me? What about me? Why am I in this state? Everyone else is in a better place. It's all me. It's always happening to me. Everything bad happens to me. And we all know those people, right? They always post on Facebook about their horrible life. And we always think, wow, they really have a really difficult life. But hold on a second. They're just posting it. You know, if you post all the negative things that happen to you, wow, that would be a lot of stuff. But we're posting the positive stuff, and that's the difference. So if we're focusing on all the bad things that are happening, all the negative things, and that's our life. That's what our life is going to reflect.
And you know what's cool about that? It just crossed my mind. Tony Robbins talks about this. Birds of a feather flock together. You know, you lie down with dogs, you come up with fleas. So if you're going to be hanging out with other people who are victims, you're going to be acting like a victim. Unless you're a stronger person and you can raise them up to your level, it's really important. So the expectation of your peer groups is a really important thing. If your peer group is all about victim and all about angerhood, you can't pull them up to your level. It's really important that you get another peer group.
It is, definitely. But I have to say also, we always get into that situation. Well, what if our family is that victim? That's we could still love them. We could still be with them. We could still encourage them. We can do that because we're at a different state. But it's important to remember that we don't have to stay there all the time. We could be like, you know what, you guys, if you need my help, you know where I am. I'm always here. Whatever you need, I'm here. I want to help you guys get out of it, right? So it's important not to get rid of the family that's in that situation.
I don't say to get rid of the family. It's just that when I'm around my family in the very beginning, I just didn't talk about real estate because they would all say to me, it's risky, it's this. Don't talk about politics if that's going to drive your family crazy.
Right.
Just that's a non-starter. That's a non-topic. Anything that's emotional, if you're not, you know, if the family member is religious and one's not, don't talk about religion. Just be careful what you talk about. But I ultimately challenge you all. What kind of relationship is that with your family if you can't discuss tough topics? And your whole idea is not to win any argument, just to discuss civilly about this stuff. So watch out who you definitely hang around with, because like I said, once I started hanging around with Jake, then I started hanging around with Mike, and now ultimately everybody wants to know what I'm doing with real estate. Now that I've become successful, everybody wants to know. They've all want to come to live events and they all want to share in that joy. And if I had stayed at that level one and I had stayed like this at the restaurant, I would still be there. So the second level is important because this is how I get myself out of level one. The second level is conflict. That's the core thought. And the core emotion is anger. So have you ever worked in a company where your boss is always threatening you with layoffs? He's always yelling at you. There's a tension in the air. That works. That drives performance. But for the long run, that will make a company sick. That will make a human being. That will make us sick if we are in that level for too long. You become stressed out. You get cancer from it. You're going to get sick at that level. It's okay to kick myself in the butt to get that anger going. And that's how I get it from victimhood. I'm like, you know, this is BS. I'm better than this. So I kick myself into that anger phase. And that's how I get from level one to level two.
Well, this level two, it's also the blame, right? That's also in there as well, right? It's if I had what you had, my life would be better. You know, you're blaming everyone. If I had a better education, if my mom sent me to this college that I want, I would be better off. And you're always looking at everyone else to blame. Life is so much easier when we can blame everyone else. But what happens when we stop that and decide we don't want to blame anyone, we actually want to be responsible? That's a big step, because that's another choice that we make, right? And, you know, we can look at the kids too. And I could say, wow, my kids grew up, they never learned how to cook. They never learned how to do all these things. And they could blame anyone they want. I'm putting that on me right now. And I could say my kids, it's my responsibility to teach them. But at one point they have to take responsibility for it.
So we talked about the victim, level one. I need to go back to this and make this point because it's really important. Tony Robbins also talks about this. It's one of the four fundamental needs, right? When somebody's a victim, and Julie was just saying, well, look at me, look at me. It makes the person feel important or feel significant. That's one of the four needs, being significant. So some people are significant because they've got a bigger problem than everybody else. Does anybody know? Stop and think for 1 second if you know anybody like that in your life. Everyone has problems, but this person has the biggest problems of them all. Why? Because they're significant and they want to feel that significance from others. And so you'll go over to them and say, hey, it's okay. But ultimately, you're not being responsible for your life, right, and you're just stuck at that level of victim.
It's one of those things when, when we are talking to someone in a similar situation and we use the phrase, but you don't understand. I don't know if you know anyone like that, but we do. And it's so interesting to me because that type of person just looks at themselves and they live their life with their face down, their eyes down. Look up, look around you. All the people around you are living the same lives as you are, but they're choosing to make better choices than you are. And that's the difference.
Well, like ET said at the live event, we live in America. We're all have the same opportunities. This is the best land to have opportunities. Wherever you're born, it's being ultimately responsible for what you want to achieve. So I think that's a really important message. Yes, we know a lot of those people.
We do. And, I actually love responsibility. I love it because I like to take ownership of it because it makes me feel responsible.
That's level 3. Level 3 of the core thought is responsibility for level 3. The core emotion is forgiveness. So let me go back to level 2 just real quick. Level 2 is I win, you lose. That's level 2. You don't care about anybody but yourself. It's all about me. You hear people saying, let's create win-win relationships. That's an anabolic thought. That's higher levels, 4, 5, and 6. Level 2 is I win, you lose. Level 3 is I win. If you win too, great. But I win. So you're still thinking about yourself and you're peering over the other side. You're not at the go-giver level yet with level 3, right? Your core emotion is forgiveness and your core thought is, or action is cooperation. So you're seeing from level 2, you're still at an catabolic state. Level 3, you're going into that anabolic. So you're starting to rise into the levels.
Yeah, and these are all our choices. And it's so awesome to have that free will to decide to make these choices, to get out of those earlier levels, and I love that because that is giving us that responsibility. We are all responsible for that. And so also when you're talking about forgiveness, that's important. And I hear a lot of people and even myself, and we think about forgiveness as saying to the other person, whatever you did was fine. It doesn't matter. No, that's not what you're saying. What you're saying is what you did was wrong. You wronged me, but I'm going to let go of that. So I am able to move forward. I'm choosing to move forward. Because what happens when we hold on to that unforgiveness is we have a lack of peace, we have bitterness, we have resentment, and that really affects everything in our life. It affects our decisions, our relationships, everything. You don't want to talk about forgiveness. It's not your topic.
Nope, not talking about forgiveness. Just kidding. Level 4, now we're getting into the anabolic state. And what's really cool about this state is it's great, but when you hear the core thought is concern, the core emotion is compassion, and the core action is service. Those are awesome. But remember, you can still get taken advantage. And life coaches live in this level, right? So you're being compassionate and you're in service of others. Hey, Julia, can you stay on the phone for 15 minutes for me? Julia, you don't have to charge me. Julia, your time is not worth anything. And you're in the service of others. Right. You're being compassionate. And you can get taken advantage of. Yeah,
and that's important. The boundaries. When we talked about boundaries, that is so important to learn about and understand because that's really a good point. What you just said.
It's amazing. You win, and I love you. Those are the feelings in this level, and it's really important. This is a great level. This is where, like I said, people who come in and start giving out the go-giver, right? But you got to be careful because all of a sudden, Julie can get taken advantage of. Hey, Julie, can you watch my kids for the day while I go out and do stuff? Can you?
You're home anyway.
Yes, you're home anyway. Yeah, as if
I get that.
As if 6 kids is not enough to take care of. Come take care of my 2. And for the most part, when you're younger, you'll probably say, you know what, just drop them off, right? Because you're compassionate.
Because you're trying to please everyone. Yes. I want to help you, but meanwhile you're running dry. You're running to the point you're dying inside.
Yeah. So level 5, you're moving up even farther on the anabolic chain right here. The core thought is reconciliation. The core emotion is peace, and the core action is acceptance. We both win, and I understand you. This is where the go-giver is getting in right now. You're calm and you're confident. So think about this right now. All of a sudden, you're getting into the flow. Have you ever heard that term, in the flow? Right now, between level 5 and level 6, you're getting in the flow. You're just connecting. You're getting in that state where you're just rocking and rolling. You're feeling really good. So can you imagine you're at level 1, you're a victim. Oh, woe is me. Level 2, I'm going to get out of this. Level 3, you know what? Let me think about it. I forgive you. Level 4, I'm here to help you. And level 5, wow, let's work together. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah.
Now, level 5 is another place where it could be bad because
Are we on 4 still?
No, we're on 5 now.
Well, what about where's love?
I forgive you.
Hold on a second.
Where's love?
I thought love was 4.
Love is right here. I love you. So,
well, let me sneak in there because I know this is your favorite topic too. Is love because love, especially in a marriage and a kid, it's a choice, and it's a choice we make every single moment of every day. And that's something to remember, because every situation we're put in, especially in a relationship, but also in even whether you're working together, a relationship or whatever, it's an opportunity to choose love. And at that point, you could choose it. I know it's so cheesy, right? You see his face.
Everybody, picture and imagine this. I was rocking and rolling. I was level 5. Now I dropped to level 2 because I'm angry because she cut me off. But then I'm back to level 3 because I forgive her, right? I see there's no forgiveness.
You're
now
going,
back on level 4. I'm
but
on
can we
service
not
with
talk
others.
levels all the time?
Well, no, but I'm trying to give people a frame of reference, because
no, I agree with you. Yes.
1 to 7, there's definitely different ranges.
Yes.
And I don't think people have to know or learn the levels, but I think they have to understand that you can go from victim to level 5 to that reconciliation and peace, and we both win together like that if you want to.
Right.
Problem with level 5 is, like I said, it's not a good or bad thing. With level 5, if you're an entrepreneur, you see opportunity everywhere. You're taking risks. Everything looks really good. So be careful, because at level 5, you're in the flow. You may see something that is a little risky. You take that risk and you're not really sure, but just be aware.
Well, I think too, the level 5 you're talking about, it's kind of like we're in this together. It's about us. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not what's best for you. I'll just give it to you this time. It's about us. What's good for us as a couple or as a family or as a company. And you have that peace, that real peace, which is calmness, which to me equals freedom. Once I get peace and calmness, I think that's more freedom. You can talk financial freedom all you want, but this is my freedom.
Before we get to level 6, we're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors.
Hello, everybody. Jake and Gino here, and it's that time of year again. Rand Cares is looking to feed 20,000 hungry children this fall, and we can do it with your help. Our mission is to improve the lives of others by creating communities that allow people to become the best versions of themselves.
Rand Cares was created to help further this mission. Please visit our Jake and Gino Facebook page and click the Rand Cares link pinned to the top of the page to donate and help fulfill our mission by feeding 20,000 hungry kids this fall. Thank you for partnering with our family of companies to make a huge impact in our community. Back to the financial freedom all the time. My wife is always talking about financial freedom. A little tip on financial freedom. Paint the picture. What does it look like to you? It's not just 2 words, and it's not just money. It's not just, I have enough money to live off right now. I don't have to go to work. That was a pretty exciting thought to me. But when I got down here, and it got to be real boring real quick, because if you're an entrepreneur and you've always been working, and then all of a sudden someone tells you, you don't really have to work anymore, you're going to get really bored. You have to find your sole purpose. You have to find something that you love to do. You want to continue to grow. And then it's really weird is money's not the cause anymore. Money's the result. And as you become more successful and you get better at your craft and you really enjoy what you love, what you're doing, as you're moving up these levels of energy, if you find something that you really love to do, you're going to crush it. You're going to go to work every day energized. And that's why I want you to think about these 7 levels of energy. Where are you when you're going to work? If you're at level 1 or level 2, and you want to live like that, how are you going to go home and be present for your family?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to go home and build a multifamily business if you're always at that level? Mm-hmm. Sometimes we may need to take a risk and just cut it off and say, I need to change jobs because this is not working for me. So think about that and where you're coming from.
Well, it's interesting because financial freedom, some people are so stressed about it. I feel like people are so stressed about it that they're so angry and they're so anxious because they want financial freedom. And most of the time they don't even know what that means. And it's so interesting to ask people, well, what does it mean? And a lot of people don't have the answer. The answer usually is just to buy anything I need. Whatever my family needs, I can buy them. There's so much more beyond that. And it's like, what can you do past that with the money? We're so fortunate that we could fly people to visit us. And I'm so thankful. And to me, that is all what I'm looking for. You know what I mean? To be able to fly family down for holidays or go up to holidays when it's super expensive, we all know how much that is. but to be able to do it and not worry about the money is, to me, is financial
Man,
freedom.
she's great. This is a perfect segue to level 6.
Mm-hmm.
The core thought is synthesis. The core emotion is joy. When she's running my credit card there and she's going, we're financially free.
No, it's all online. There's no running credit cards. It's just there saved on my computer.
It's just numbers, right? Well, money's a tool, right? And that's what we need to use it for.
Right.
And the core action or result is wisdom. So level 6, you're really in the groove right now. Everyone always wins. So if you think of those entrepreneurs who are real high level, and if you think of these people who have created this amazing business, just think of them out there. I don't know whether it's Steve Jobs or, with Apple, or whether it's Microsoft. These companies have created these massive successes, and they're all about their company, and they're all about providing amazing amount of value. That's where these people resonate between level 5 and level 6 and parts of level 7.
Yeah, the joy, I feel like, in the 6 that you're talking about is completely non-judgmental. When we're looking at another person and we're judging them, everything that they're doing, it's the non-judgmental. It's like, wow, look at that person succeed. I love to see them succeed, which is really hard for some of us because we feel so, if you're doing a great podcast, and I'm jealous of you, even as your wife, I'm like, I can't, he's not as good as me.
That's our secret, isn't it?
Now I lost what I was saying. Thanks.
You see that? Now she's blaming me too. She's going back down the victim. Level 1. She went from level 6 to level 1 in like 3 seconds.
So I could either judge him and say something, or I can say, tell me about how you do that. I want to learn I want to be as good as you do, you are. I want that for myself too. So we could do it together. So, so it's not about me either. But we're focusing really on the whole situation. And we're saying, okay, what's possible now? Because now we could see things clearly that we didn't see before. We see the whole entire situation.
You want to introduce level 7?
I just have unconditional love on my notes.
Unconditional. Sounds like a song.
Yeah.
So it's non-judgment. There's no judgment in level 7.
Yeah.
There's absolute passion, and you're constantly creating. You're in creation mode, right? You're a genius on this level. And unfortunately,
so it's kind of like your thoughts are going, right?
Yeah.
Your thoughts are going, and you just have these great ideas, and actually you execute them and get them.
And most people will not be able to stay at this level. You can't resonate at level 7 forever. Think of Buddha. Think of Gandhi. I mean, these people
but they're still human.
They are, but I'm saying they transcend. But even then, they can't stay at level 7.
Right.
It's just an amazing level because you're constantly creating. You're constantly in passion mode. So, I mean, there's not many people that can stay at that level. You can't really stay at that level. You'll bounce between the levels. I mean, you'll see yourself having passion.
But it's the awareness, right? It's the awareness of where you are and being honest with yourself and to say, okay, seriously, am I getting insulted? If I'm asking you your opinion, let's say we did this podcast, I get off the podcast, I'm like, Gino, how did I do? And you're like, oh, you did great. And I really didn't. No, am I really asking your advice? What if you said to me, Julie, you really need to slow down. You need to do this. And here I am mad at you now. Now, am I asking your honest opinion, or am I just asking you from what I want to hear? Right. And so that's my awareness of, if I'm asking your opinion, I really want it, then I need to be I need to say, okay, yes, I am like that. And yes, I want to fix it.
So Julie, what I want to do is I want to leave a link down below in the show notes. Okay. If you want to download this energetic self-perception chart, the first 2 levels are all about the self. That's when you're in victim and you're in anger. It's all about me. 3, 4, and 5 are the self-mastery. And 6 and 7 is self-transcendence. Wow, you're killing me.
I didn't do it. It wasn't my fault.
Transcendence, self-transcendence. It's a difficult word. I could be in anger mode right now, but I'm not going to. But think about it. When you're at 1 and 2, it's all about me. It's the self. It's all about me, me, me. And you're not going to become financially free if you're thinking just about yourself. You need to serve others. And that's why you need to get out of that catabolic state and try to raise your level of energy. And one thing we should point out, when I was going to coaching school, what they told me was the world that we live in resonates at about a 1.8. So if you think about it, that was 4 years ago. That was before Trump came along. You can imagine what it is right now. It's probably even lower because we have a lot of victimhood. We have a lot of people who are woke. We have a lot of people who are just angry. And we have a lot of people who just, we can't share ideas anymore. That's why you can control your level of emotion. And I think one thing that's really important that I should add here also is think about yourself. Me and my wife are going to have an argument right now. And I'm mad at her and I'm trying to say something, but I can't think of anything. I'll walk away from her 10 minutes later, a thought pops into my mind. You cannot be creative when you are angry or you're a victim. There's no creative juices come out of your mind. And I know that's happened to you, everyone on the call. I challenge you, think of when that's happened to you. You're like, wow, if you can control your emotions and you can raise your level of energy, you can stop, pause, walk away and think lucid thoughts. you're going to get much better answers to those questions.
Yeah. So, we have the ability to change, and it's your choice. It's what we all have, that ability. And so that's the question. Are you willing to look at your life, actually analyze it and say, this is how I actually am. All the people who have been telling me this, yes, now I'm going to look at it and say, okay, yes, I am like that. What am I going to do about it? And, a lot of it is jealousy. Maybe someone else is better than you at something. But, it's important to remember that there's only one of you. There's only one of each one of us. And we all have something to bring to this world that no one else can. And that's something really important to remember, because, we're always looking at everyone else's life, and I want what they have. No one can have what you have, because you're your own person.
And I think to follow up on that thought, get off the internet. Just try to stay off Instagram. Try to stay off, because when you're looking at it and you're investing in multifamily and you're seeing Joe close on 300 units and Mary close on 200 units, you're not Joe, you're not Mary, you're yourself. You should never try to compare yourself to others.
Mm-hmm.
And the internet, a lot of it's all fake anyway. So it's just all, they're not really closing on 300 units.
Right.
They're partnering on 300 units, syndicating. So don't compare yourself to others.
Unless you're going on saying, wow, I really want what they have. Let me go find out how they're getting it.
And you can use that as anger. That would motivate me from the restaurant. So I was always moving away from pain at the restaurant. And I was using that anger to drive me and to get me to educate myself and to get me to get out of my comfort zone. Because if I wasn't angry at the point, I would still be uncomfortable in the restaurant, but I wasn't enough. So I use that anger for good. But the thing is, if I used it for 7 years or 10 years, I'd probably get sick. I use it in spurts.
Yeah. I think one podcast we're going to have is the happy moments at the restaurant.
I had a lot of happy moments, but I just remember the
negative.
Well,
and I have only happy memories.
Because she was never there. She wasn't working.
I was there.
You weren't. Well,
you came in to eat.
It came with the kids, and that was the happy moments with the family.
Early on was that there were very happy moments early on when you first bought it.
But even later on, they still were happy. I just knew that I was meant for more.
Yes.
I knew I knew that I had a much better skill set. I wanted to really create businesses, and it wasn't the restaurant; it was me that was holding myself back. Right. And I probably could have.
That's important what you just said.
What did I say?
Because you just blame. Sometimes you sound like you're blaming the restaurant for your unhappiness.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's actually a really good point you made. So you're blaming yourself now for your unhappiness.
Oh yeah, no, I take full responsibility. It wasn't the restaurant, and I ultimately was working there, so I could have left sooner. I could have made that choice. I just made that choice that I had to wait a little while because I had a bigger family, so I couldn't just disappoint my family and leave. So for me, it was really weird because I'd go into work. I didn't really want to be there, but I was so excited to do real estate, and I was so excited to do podcasts, and I was so excited to analyze deals that really put me through the day. And being at the restaurant was just paying the bills. So it was just a matter of time. I knew that I was going to do something else, but that anger and being uncomfortable really pushed me to strive.
And you could go into, parenthood as well when you're in that, you're home with the kids all day long. We're up in New York. It was the winter, long winters. And I could just, what am I doing? How, what kind of life am I living? Is this really what I want? And or you could get out of that. Same thing as you could be miserable in that moment, or you could change, and you could go up on those levels and find the joy of raising children.
So one more time, I'm going to say them to you. Level 1 is victim. That's the core thought. Level 2 is conflict. Level 3 is responsibility. Level 4 is concern. Level 5 is reconciliation. Level 6 is synthesis. And level 7 is non-judgment. And once again, click on a link down below. You can print out the energetic self-perception chart. And we have launched our Honeybee book. So let me put this up for all the YouTubers out there. Go online, pick it up. It's a great book.
Excellent book.
It's a business parable that we've written about getting unstuck and taking control of your financial future by creating multiple streams of revenue. And we've got a visitor here.
Hi, Laura.
That's our little girl here. See, so 3 years ago, I'd been freaking out, but see how I can get out of that. Level 1 victim is I can't believe she came in here to that just made my day.
Yeah.
So
no, I actually encourage you all to get this Honeybee book. It's an excellent book for, like you said, for people to get unstuck. But it's good for everyone else, especially your older children or your brother or sister who is just, they can't get out of where they are in their life. Just like Gino was talking about before, it is so beneficial, and it's an easy read, and it makes so much sense when you read it.
And one last thing, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you want to hear any topics or any discussions that we can bring to the next podcast, please let us know. You can email them to juliabarbaro@gmail.com, or you can email them to me at gino@jakeandgino.com.
No, we love to hear from you. I really appreciate the people who have been emailing me. I really appreciate that. It means a lot.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. See you next time.